So let's get into it. Fitch, do you wanna begin with just sort of getting us up to speed on where we're at in the parallel creator
Yeah,
program?
yeah, definitely. I'm so excited to have everybody here and for everybody who listens after the fact. Stoked about that too. So yeah, I mean, where we're at is that we've rolled out a closed beta very successfully. Many of you who are on Twitter and other platforms will see it's kind of dominating your timeline. It's been sort of unreal how much uptake it's gotten amongst people who have played, amongst people who haven't played, who are seeing it and kind of saying, we're really excited about this. And a lot of that is owing to the people who are here who have created pieces of content to showcase the game because how else would people know, other than sort of secondhand, that it's an excellent game? Hearing about it is one thing, seeing it is another. And so, those of you who have written threads, immensely appreciative of those. Those of you who have posted video content, immensely appreciative of that too, because I think when people see what this game is and they hear it and all of the haptics of it, it kind of comes through that it feels like an important game. It feels significant when you see and you see the cards kind of move to different spaces on the screen and you hear the audio of that and you get a sense of the gameplay. It's kind of like, well, this is, a significant, if not one of the most significant Web3 game products that's been built up to this point. So all of you who have created content up to this point, we are greatly appreciative of that. And that's the first thing that I wanted to say. Thank you, sincere thank you to everyone who has come in. Either you listened to previous calls that we had with Milo, or you just sort of felt a personal initiative to create content. That's amazing, and we appreciate you greatly. One of the things that we're thinking about doing, we put out that tweet the other day. I was like, hey, thank you, content creators. Drop links here. We're thinking about maybe doing email wrap ups that are kind of broadcasting links of people who have put out high quality content. And we have a very large email list. And so we're talking about a lot of viewers of your channel and new subscribers to your channel when we put that out. So, again, I want to emphasize this in the beginning of a long relationship. We want to continue to honor the effort that you've put in to content. And it's so many streamers that are popping up who are novice streamers, experienced streamers are kind of coming in. We've seen a number of people like that start to pop up, and it's all very exciting. And I want to just emphasize, first of all, thank you. Second of all, we're going to do more to continue to sort of honor that relationship. Uh, and where we're going is that did Milo pop out of? Oh, he's back.
I'm back now. Discord just
Yeah,
died for a minute, but we're bringing it back, baby.
rugged.
Yep.
The second thing that I wanted to talk about was where we're going, sort of with this broader, you know, parallel thing, right? Like, where is this headed? And so, one of the things that a lot of people have asked about is like, how can I get access? And one of the easiest answers to how you can get access is in the content creator channel here in Discord. So I'm going to ask people in the stage chat to go ahead and link that. And that chat will, with the pinned links there, offer
Mhm.
you a way to get early access. And that is relatively straightforward. I mean, we're not asking for a highly produced YouTube video right out of the gate. All that we're asking for is to show some effort that you're going to be a content creator in this ecosystem. And if you show that effort, then we're willing to fast track you into the game. Outside of that, the way the rollout's going to work is essentially we have different pools of potentially qualified candidates, right? And one of those that I've mentioned is like, avatar holders. One of those that I've mentioned is anyone who signed up for early access via our early access form prior. There's a bunch of different pools of qualified candidates. We also just announced the starter packs with Coinbase. So one thing that we haven't said publicly is that purchasing the starter pack will guarantee you access to the game. So
Ah.
that's a new bit of information that people don't know that we can go ahead and disclose right now. Is that if you buy a starter pack via the Coinbase on-chain summer promotion that's happening with their new chain base, you will get guaranteed access to the game. So it's going to give you everything that you need to start, a full deck of NFTs. It's literally those starter decks that you were using in the rookie queue for anyone who's played, and you're going to get all those NFTs, and you're going to have prime earnings right out of the gate. So, and there's a couple extras tucked in there. Of course, we like to tuck some extras in there. So that's an important thing to mention. And then as we sort of scale up, eventually we're going to get to a point where we're at an open beta. We're talking not very long from now, a couple months where we're going to be at that point. But essentially, from let's call it 2 months, it's not literally 2 months, but let's call it 2 months from now, progressively on a weekly, sort of bi-weekly basis, we're going to add more players. As you just saw, we sort of in the middle of the week decided that we're going to add previous alpha players. Whenever we feel like we need to add more players, we're going to add more players. And this is why we're not publishing an exact schedule, because it's sort of like whenever we feel like we need to add more players, we're going to go ahead and add more players. So I wouldn't want people to think that we're withholding that information on purpose. It's kind of a process of looking at how players are coming into the ecosystem, looking at certain data that we need to get for player retention rates, for play rates of different factions, and then as we kind of get that data and we feel satisfied with a certain cohort, we're just going to increase that 5x 10x as we go, and so more players will be incrementally added until eventually we're completely open access, and that's the way that this is going to go. And we're talking a matter of a couple months, and progressively on a weekly, sort of bi-weekly basis, you can expect for substantial amounts of more players to be added in. But want to double down on the point that I made. If you're interested in creating content, and if you create some content, you will be granted immediate access. That is a fact. So
Yeah. Got some more details of that in the rest of the call as well.
Yeah, that covered everything I think I had, Milo. So I can pass the mic to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So just to give you guys a real quick recap, because we already covered this last call, who the hell am I? I've been a content creator for a long time. I've been following Parallel for a long time as well, since basically the origin of the project. Participated in the first pack drop, or pack drop 1, sorry. And so that's me. I've worked extensively across the games industry. This is stuff that I've been doing for a very long time now. It's been 14 years, so I've been around the block, and my hair has changed many times. It is currently in shaggy mode, but it has gone all over the place. Okay, so that's me. And how am I helping the team? Again, just a little recap of where I sort of stand in things. I'm basically helping the team on all things creators, all things influencers, trying to make sure that creator activations go well, trying to make sure that the creator program is built in a way that I feel like is going to be viable long term, all that good stuff. So that's kind of where I sit in the picture, in the scheme of things. So another person involved here that we want to make sure that you guys are familiar with, if you're not already. You probably are already, but still, just for the purpose of completeness, everyone say hello to Ali. And obviously, we said hello to Ali at the start of the call, but there's Ali. Hey, Ali, how's it going?
Hello, Ali.
And so Ali, hell yeah. Dude, we like one day, Fitch, once we've got like fully rigged avatar and you're good to go, we'll get the avatar in here, we'll get them on the call too. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. I would actually love that. We're in talks with some providers about being able to potentially rig the avatars. So,
oh, sick.
That's very, very tentative. I don't want people to take that as alpha, but like,
yeah, I was not fishing, but you still gave me a fish, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Ali is super experienced TCG expert. Also super experienced content creator, has been making content for years. And Ali's going to be involved in a bunch more sort of content stuff to come in the foreseeable future as well. So Ali, do you just want to give me a 30-second, who are you, what do you do? And
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up pretty well, but I've been a TCG streamer for 7 years. My anniversary was February 1st of 7 years of streaming on Twitch. And throughout that time, it's been primarily Hearthstone, but I've played a bunch of different card games throughout that time, worked closely with Blizzard, Wizards, various game companies, and doing different activations. I've competed around the world in TCGs, and I've been doing the content creator thing for a long time. So yeah, I think I've got a decent amount of value to provide to you guys, so you can ask me any questions, and Milo and I will bounce off each other and try to do the best to give you the lowdown.
Hell yeah, that's very much like the oh yeah, there you go. Snooch in the chat has seen your videos, so like we've got Ali fans in the chat as well. Amazing. So that just goes to show, right? Like Ali has been doing this a really long time in the TCG space. I've been doing this a really long time outside the TCG space. Combined, like Lego bricks stacking on top of one another. There's something cool that can come of that in terms of the sort of mentorship and advice and strategy that we can help you guys with, and just generally sort of understanding the space and how it works and all that sort of stuff for those of you that are starting out. And and helping make a really vibrant creator ecosystem. So Ali and I are going to probably bounce off some stuff back and forth in a moment here, but I just want to rattle through a couple of bits and pieces. So as Fitch said, quickly recapping the creator program. If you haven't signed up, most of you already have, I'm sure, but if you haven't already, that's the QR code for it. It's linked in the content creators channel of the Discord. Why would you want to make parallel content if you're new here? Like, I know Hannah in the call is new here today. It's a massive opportunity, right? You're in on the ground floor of a brand new IP. It's one of the most prominent projects in the space right now. It's also just like a fully fledged game, and that doesn't happen a lot in this space. So that in itself is really incredible, and it's fun. Like, people are jumping into the beta and they're like, God damn, I need to play this more. Off the back of that, there's going to be people that are going to be a lot of players obviously coming in, and they'll want content. So you can shape your destiny with the content that you're creating. Traditional formats of content, whether it's streaming or videos or TikToks or tweets or what have you, from other game communities are going to transfer over to this. It's going to be the exact same deal. And so you can learn from all that pre-existing content and use that to help strategize and go forward with parallel related stuff. So real opportunity there. Some of the things that we shared in the previous creator call that we would just love to see and that I think that there's real opportunity in: guides explaining the strategies, intros to the lore, obviously streaming, highlight moments. Like, there's a bunch of different things you can do. We're going to talk in a little bit more detail about some of these today, and just generally try and get your kind of like brains firing off with some ideas for stuff that might actually be good to spend your time on this weekend. Because as a starter content creator, or even just as a content creator that's been doing it a while, a game launch like this comes out, and a lot of the time it's like, God damn, what do I work on first? Like, do I do a beginner's guide? Do I do a strategy deck? Do I do a highlights thing? Do I do a stream? Do I do a pack opening? Oh my God, there's so much to do, right? So I recognize that I've just put a whole list of so much to do on your screen, but it's okay. We're going to break it down a little bit here. So let's talk creator strategy, right? What have creators been making so far? Where do we sort of stand, right? So far, these are the top 3 most viewed parallel TCG videos in the past, I don't know, like 3 days or something, from the beta. So we have this one that I'm not going to attempt to pronounce because it's in Russian. But this is a really, really well-made video. I want to call this out as being a really fantastically made video. It's really well edited. It's really high quality by these web gods guys. So this is a really great video. You're not going to understand it if you don't speak Russian, but it's worth a look just to see the sort of flavor of thing that they've done there. And then the Game Seller have done a really, really good beginner's guide, and Sentience has also been pumping out a whole bunch of different content. The Game Seller's also been streaming too. Like, we're seeing you guys posting your content, loving that sort of thing. But as you can see, like, we're in low view territory right now, right? Not a lot of people have access to the beta. People are still discovering this. And as such, we're in that like nascent, like bubbling stage, which is going to pop at some point, and we're going to start really seeing some standout stuff. So these guys are doing a great job so far. Wanted to call that out and sort of applaud those guys. One thing I did want to mention, I don't know if this is going to work on the stream. I don't know if you're going to have sound, but I want to just show you one thing to be thinking about with some of your content in the next week. Okay. Yes, this will be recorded so you can watch it afterwards, Snooch. So something to be thinking about. If you have sound, it might not work. We'll see. Do you have sound on this?
Everyone's out.
Could you hear that just then? Yeah.
I
Okay.
heard it, Milo.
Amazing. So I want you to just notice the difference between how these two videos start. Okay, so I've got Game Seller's video on the left, and I've got Sentience's video on the right. Just a little, just a content tip for you guys. Okay, so this video starts like this.
Everyone's out here talking about parallel.
Okay, that's the intro. This is Sentience's video start.
Hello, everyone, and
So something to be aware of. Just in that 1 second, Sentience's video starts at the 1 second mark. The Game Seller's video starts at the 0 second mark. Like, I can't even rewind it without him talking over me. It's amazing, right? When you're making content, when you're making YouTube videos, obviously, I'm just going to go back to basics here real quick. You're always focused on trying to capture someone's attention, right? With your title and your thumbnail initially, but then retain their attention through the entire content in the video, right? That's the name of the game. That's how your videos will get more views, is if you retain them while they're watching, retain your audience. And little teeny things like this might seem like a minuscule change to make in your content, right? But it actually makes a crazy big difference. This is a 1% incremental change that can have massive exponential ramifications later on. So making sure that you edit your videos to be snappy, those first 10 seconds, those first 30 seconds are really tight and you're pulling the viewer in as quickly as you can and getting them the context of what's happening and making sure that they feel like they're in the right place and that the content is what they thought they clicked on when they saw the title thumbnail. All those things are essential, and part of that is helped out by just making sure that you jump in straight away with it's just straight away, as opposed to me clicking begin here and okay, I didn't actually click start. Let's click start.
Hello.
Then he's talking to me. You see what I mean? There's just a little bit of a delay there. Something to be mindful of, okay? It's a tiny thing, but I notice it in a lot of beginner creators content.
Everyone's out here talking about...
Oh God. There we go. Okay. So, as Fitch said, we've got the access that you guys can get to the creator program. You can be creative with this as well. We had a poem written today on the right hand side of the screen. That is a poem written to get access to the creator program. I love it. Fitch loved it. I'm pretty sure Fitch gave them access straight away as soon as he saw the poem. Like,
I'm a poetry enjoyer. I write a little poetry. So when I saw that, I mean, the quickness with which he assembled that, I was like, okay, come on, we kind of have to, right?
It's fantastic. And like, I love this sort of thing. And a reminder as well that we've got a content competition going on right now. So if you submit cool pieces of content like this to the link that's pinned in a message in the content creators channel of the Discord, then you might win some Prime in a couple days. That competition's ending in a couple days. So like creative pieces of content like this, definitely going to be contenders for that, and good to see people sort of having fun with it as well. That's the name of the game, right? That's what it's all about. So I love that. I love that little poem. So another quick note, something for you guys to be thinking about, because I've already noticed this in a bunch of people's content across different platforms. I had a little conversation with Sentience. Sentience was posting this stuff on Twitter. Love the fact that he was posting his clips on Twitter and then linking through to a video. Always a good idea to link to your video in the second tweet, not in the source tweet. Twitter basically doesn't like you linking off platform in the original tweet, so it's always a good idea to make the video post in the second follow-up reply or what have you. Putting a video embed on the original tweet is also a really great way to get more attention and more traction on that sort of thing. So that's like a great thing that Sentience has done there. But just for you guys going forward, I basically said I noticed in his title for this YouTube video, he was just calling it the parallel beta, right? That was his phrasing, just parallel beta. And I think what is more likely over time to be more effective is, rather than making parallel beta your search term, make parallel TCG your search term. And this is something that I'll show you guys a quick example of in a minute of why this can be so important and impactful. But it's tempting to be like, well, it's the parallel beta. The game is parallel and it's the beta, so I'll make it parallel beta. But parallel is also like working on Colony, for instance. Parallel's doing a bunch of other things. So specifying that it's the TCG, number one, is useful in that regard. But then also, just for people searching stuff, it's slightly less likely that they're going to search for beta-specific content. Like, they're just going to be searching for parallel content, and it means that as soon as the game transitions into just being a game, right? Like, as soon as we get to actual game launch, having parallel beta in your titles at that point is going to mean that it looks like it's dated, whereas if it's just parallel TCG, it's still going to be relevant. So just a thing to be thinking of when considering your SEO. And here is an example of why that's so important, okay? On the left, I searched MTG, which stands for Magic the Gathering. But this is Marjorie, I think her name's Taylor Greene or something. I don't know if she's a politician or some American person.
Correct. Yeah.
So like,
she is a politician.
If you're looking for Magic the Gathering content, you got to be a bit more specific. So maybe MTG Arena or MTG Arena News or something, that's going to get you what you're looking for. So it's just a word to the wise. If you're actually trying to make sure that you capture people looking for parallel content, if you only typed parallel, there are other things in the world called parallel, right? Parallel is a word. So just be aware that your SEO is really important. That's something to be considering at all times. Okay. So Ali's going to be able to speak to this next section a bit more closely than I am. I can speak to it from an outsider perspective as someone that's slightly less familiar with TCGs compared to her being an expert. But there's all sorts of different videos that people be posting with Hearthstone, with Magic, with all sorts of TCGs that exist, right? There's a whole bunch of different sort of strats that people use, the meta of what content creators are making at a given time. In these two searches, I've just looked up like MTG Arena strategies and Hearthstone strategies. And it's interesting, the first thing I notice is the majority of these are all beginner content, like Beginners 2023, beginner tips, beginner guide, deck building 101, We've got instantly getting better. So again, it's educational, not necessarily for beginners, but then straight to beginner tips, beginner guide, getting better again, beginner guide, right? So off the jump, if any of you are like, what should I be making this weekend, right? Like, what should I be sinking my time into? I think purely based on a screen like this, I'd say that some beginner content would probably be a really good idea. But I would love Ali to sort of share some of her feelings of where the focus might be best spent.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with Milo. Right now, beginner content is king. And I just want to say that if you see a whole bunch of other people making beginner content, like, don't be discouraged in making your own and putting your own spin on it, because I think that's something that I did in the beginning. Like, when I got into Hearthstone, I saw like Trump and Kibler and all these guys had made beginner content, and people would ask me like, "Hey, Ali, I'd love to see, you making it." And I'm like, "Oh, well, it's already there." But people actually wanted it. And you never know like what types of personalities are going to strike a chord with a specific viewer. So even if someone else has made a beginner video, they might resonate more with your video than somebody else's, right? So just, keep that in mind in general. But yeah, I'd say in the, beginning of Parallel, the mechanics, like if there's interesting interactions that, are maybe not super intuitive, that would be good. So I think content that could be seen as unique, it's clickable is a good idea, but you also probably want to go broad as well, because the majority of people getting into it are going to need some really, really basic stuff. And then, as the game goes on, the interest is definitely going to be about, I think, what decks are performing the best. And that's the kind of content that I've leaned into. But I will say with TCGs, the world's your oyster. Like, you can do a lot of different stuff with them. Like, it doesn't have to just be a deck guide, and like how to win the most. Like, there's like Raren, for example, he's a Hearthstone YouTuber. He's made like just such interesting videos. Like,
yep, I've got a screenshot of one of his videos coming up.
Yeah, he's brilliant. And that's another tip. I would do research too. Like Raren is really good at making Rarran. If you guys want to research him, I would say that his content is very unique. There's like story to it. It's not just straightforward deck guides, right? And then you've got someone like Regis Kilbin or Dexter with Marvel Snap. Like, I would look at other creators and see what they do well. You don't have to copy it, but it's just a good idea to just see what is working, I suppose.
Getting inspired by other, like, it could be an entire other TCG, it could be an entire other game. Like, you could look up Call of Duty videos and be like, oh, actually, that I could do that, right? And it's like, if you're taking a concept from the COD community and bringing it over to Parallel, like, no one is going to be like, oh, you're just copying this video word for word, and it's like, no, right? You've been inspired by a theme and you're completely repurposing that towards an entirely new community. And that's number one, the way that the most creators make their bread and butter content is by doing exactly that. But the number two also is just a really interesting creative challenge that hopefully should be a lot of fun for you guys. So
I mean, Torty said, Raren should do one of his trying new TCG vids on Parallel. I mean, maybe something like that might happen in the future. There's possibilities for that. So that's something that we'll probably touch on. But I mean, to double down on what these brilliant folks have said, there's a content creator in Elden Ring community, Zuli the Witch, who makes like incredibly deep, like lore content. And there's so much lore here in Parallel, and there's infinite opportunity to create deep lore videos, right? And you have like a Warhammer community. They have very, very interesting videos, and so I would encourage you to look outside of just the TCG world. But even within the TCG world, I think that like don't look just at the game. Look at like how people navigate the menu. How do they navigate the actual client, the game client itself? I mean, like, I would love to see breakdowns on that. I haven't seen it yet. And I would love to see people make breakdowns on navigating the game client. And as a literally vanilla brand new user, day zero, first time experiencing it, where should I click to see the things that I need to see
Yep.
before I even get into the game? Like that stuff is extremely valuable. So
And
don't
I would add to that,
only-
like even just the experience of like once you get beta access, like going to parallel.live/play, like that step might be something that some people miss, right? So just like a beginner's guide to installing the game, for instance, even that's content and that's a video, and you could probably do that in 2 minutes. Like everyone in here could probably do that in 2 minutes, right? It's not really that difficult. But for someone that doesn't know what's going on, it's really valuable. And similarly, there are a bunch of like little things that people have been posting in the general chat of this Discord being like, is this a bug, or is this a known issue, or they're submitting a feedback report or whatever. But if there's stuff that you know the solution for, like if maybe there's a visual glitch and it's fixed by just like minimizing and reopening the game or something, like not closing it, just like something like that. If you make a 60-second video on that, that's the sort of thing that A, helps the entire community, but then B, also is just going to pull views in, and people are going to know that you're an expert in Parallel because you're making that sort of content. So there's options, right? Like beginner stuff, guide stuff, more exploratory, like challenge content, that sort of thing. I'll show you a couple ideas on that here. Here's a couple of examples that I found. I just was searching Hearthstone guide, right? So these are all stream highlights. So these are all repurposed videos. Ecor has completely dominated the search result for Hearthstone guide here in the last week. Love it. And so they're packaged as either guides or strategies, or just like showcasing like a cool, fun new deck, right? And that's something that is all recorded on stream. So you guys that are streaming right now, I love the fact that there have been so many streams, but there's real opportunity to intentionally on a stream be like, this is going to get turned into a video. So I'm going to try, and like Ali does a bunch of this, I'm sure too, where you're actively making the conscious decision before the stream goes live of like, okay, what video is this for? I'm going to showcase this deck. Maybe it's a specific deck that's going to be huge, right? Then you're like thinking about what the title's going to be. Then you record the content to match that while you're on stream. And then you're doing double duty, and you get 2 pieces of content for the price of 1, right? Really, really valuable.
Can I just say real quick too that sometimes you sacrifice like winning the game, like you get content in your brain, okay, and you're like, well, I could just win the game right here, but if I want to turn this into a YouTube video, you know, I could go for the fun play, you know. And I'm just saying, like, don't be surprised if that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah, and
Ali, you want to maybe talk too about like you know, turning on VOD settings on Twitch and like making sure that people are sort of creating with that mindset. Like what does that look
if possible,
like for you?
do you mind? So I basically, I just got a text, just got a family thing that's come up. I've got to go in 10 minutes. Can I just run through some of the other bits I've got, and then we like I'll leave you guys. Sorry, just it's happening in real time. Ali will talk to you guys momentarily about that stuff because that's really important, and we've had questions about that. But yeah, just some of the things that I wanted to rattle off. Like, look when you're doing your research in other communities, etc. Look for like repeating kind of themes. So like a certain thing is going to be huge, or it's broken, or it wins in 5 turns, or like those sorts of vibes. They're going to work in any TCG, right? So always be thinking about those sorts of pieces of content that you can make. More patterns here, more options. I think where Raren's here, there we go. So Raren's got Magic player that has not played Hearthstone makes me a standard deck, right? And I saw Torty actually in the chat suggest a similar thing. A Hearthstone player rates parallel cards, right? Like these are all ideas that any of you could do. You could do that this weekend super easily. The difference with a video like this is that this is much more of just like a pure entertainment video. This is not him trying to make like a guide or a specific strategy video. It's a different angle. And so for those of you that want to lean into that entertainment angle, there's so many options there. So I want you guys to be thinking about what sort of challenges you guys can create, what sort of fun content, entertainment content you can make aside from all the guide stuff, which is obviously so valuable and so key right now. So to just keep on rattling, because the train's going to come. I've been talking about creator mentorship for the past couple of weeks. There's been something brewing. Okay, it's been in the cards. And I just want to give you guys a few quick pieces of info. So here we go. Creator mentorship. So number 1, Echelon are working with Pipeline. Pipeline is the leading content creator development platform for upcoming creators. And they've worked together on basically recognizing that some of the base level, like starter creators in the community right now are looking for resources so that they can just get up to speed as fast as possible on content creation and best practices, understanding the Twitch algorithm or the YouTube algorithm or the TikTok algorithm, all those sorts of things. And that's what Pipeline does, right? So I've been working with Pipeline on a bunch of stuff, but we've put together a little landing page specifically for Parallel creators. So if any of you guys are starter level creators, you're just starting out and you want to get up to speed as fast as you can and you want to take this seriously, you can head over to the link. I'll have it pinned in the Discord after this call. You can also follow the QR code. But that's just basically for anyone. And also, like, if you've got any mates that are like a little bit, need a little bit of a helping hand on the content game, that's something that can help those guys out. So that's just a cool thing that Echelon have set up for folks creating parallel content. Really excited about that. I've also got 2 in-depth strategy calls that we're going to be doing. They are the same content in both calls, okay? It's the same thing in both calls, but they are in-depth calls, and these are admittedly for more advanced creators. So if you are someone that wants really granular, in-depth info about being a content creator, being a full-time content creator, and the sort of life that comes with that, essentially, and all of the challenges that come with that, and how you can craft a much bigger structure to output as much parallel content as possible, those sorts of things. That's what those sorts of calls, or those 2 calls, sorry, are going to be for. Like I've said, it's the same content in both calls, so you only need to be in one or the other. And this is, be very, very, very clear, this is at 5 a.m. Eastern time, okay? And that's because we've got creators that are in Vietnam, we've got creators that are in Japan, we've got creators that are in Russia, and those folks cannot operate on like a US-centric time zone. So 5 a.m. for this call, and then 5 p.m. for the blue one, Eastern time. So that's 10 p.m. UK time. So the Sunday is hella early for Americans, and the Monday, the following day, is a bit more of a reasonable time. Okay, so just a heads up, those 2 calls are going to be happening. Within those calls, I will basically be spending a chunk of time on really in-depth, advanced creator strategy. It's going to be a real kind of like deep dive. And then at the end of that call, I'll also be talking to you guys about a special offer that Echelon have secured with Pipeline for like even more of this stuff and just like really accelerating you guys to the next level. And that offer will be at the end of each of these calls. Okay, so just a heads up, if you're interested in hella advanced content creator stuff, all of the juices that I've learned over the last 14 years being a content creator, that's the place to be, okay? Those are scheduled now. You can see in the bottom right here. Those are scheduled in the Discord, so you can sign up, register interest for those. And I'll also be reminding you guys.
Something about a certain token there, potentially, also, right? An option to pay?
Yes, a certain token. Yes, dude, for a minute, you had my heart beating. I was like, oh my God, what? Yes, so to sprinkle a little salt on the main course here, the idea is that this special offer that's going to be sort of talked about and discussed and explained in that call is not a discount for Brill token holders, which is unfortunately for you, Rye. But the Prime token is going to have some utility. There's going to be some Prime syncs involved in those calls. So those of you that are Prime hodlers, you may want to pay attention to those if you're also a content creator and you want to get involved more deeply with this sort of thing. So we're bringing all the universes are colliding here, guys, right? We're bringing the worlds together. It's fun stuff. So the last 1 or 2 little things I've got to say is just, if you got any questions about this in the next coming days, weeks, months, whatever, whether it's talking to Ali, talking to myself, what have you, the best place to do it is in the content creators channel of the Discord. If you haven't submitted your content yet for the content creator competition, Jesus, too many words, that is also linked in the content creators channel of the Discord. These are the details for it. You can basically win Prime if you submit content for that over the next few days. And I think that's pretty much everything that I had to say. We're building the creator program with you guys, so if there's anything specific that you are keen on, once again, drop us a post in the content creators channel, and we can just get stuck into it, making you guys even better content creators and supporting you as much as we can. Okay, so those are my slides. Sorry for cutting you guys off earlier, but yeah, I just needed to rattle through. I'm going to turn my cam off now, and you guys can take it away.
Exciting.
Hell
Yeah, I mean, some great slides. 10 out of 10 slides, man.
Thank you. I appreciate
Listen
it.
to
Thank you.
Milo,
We love
guys.
the
He
slides.
knows what he's talking about. He's got a lot of good advice. I'm taking notes too. I'm like, okay,
Hell
I
yeah.
can learn from Milo as well.
I'm gonna have to do a strategy session with you at some point, Ali, and be like, we gotta make the best content on the goddamn planet. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Combine the brains. Make an uber brain.
Imagine that collaboration. That'd be great.
That would be.
But yeah, I
really
mean,
fun.
I think we can probably take questions or anything like that if folks have questions. Probably keep this a little bit more brief in terms of the actual time scope of the call. But yeah, I would be happy to take questions, and I think we'll probably end up emailing this out to a certain group of people, and then maybe more broadly after that. So yeah, happy to have questions if folks have them. But I think this was a great sort of summary of where we're headed and what the different types of content strategies that people might be able to employ are, and then just reiterating that people who are actively interested in creating content are going to be able to get early access. So that's pretty key. But yeah, if folks have any questions, would be happy to hear them. Drop them in the chat.
My advice would be also to just like get started. Milo kind of said it earlier, but even if you think it's something that's like a small thing, like for the sake of your YouTube channel, like you kind of just when people go to your channel, you don't really want there to just be like 1 or 2 videos, right? So even if it's just content on little things, just kind of like I think in the beginning, quantity a little over quality. I mean, obviously you want to be striving for as much quality as possible, but I think initially it's good to just kind of make what you can, and then when people go to your channel, they discover that, oh, this person's really serious about creating parallel content, and I think that's pretty important. So
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I mean, there's some questions popping up here that I think make sense to answer. So, dog parallel, no information on the dog parallel. Timeline predictions for spectator mode. I mean, the first, and this is, I'm glad you brought this up, Orphan, is that the first like new feature that you're going to see is tournament mode, and you can expect that fairly soon. And then the next major feature after that is going to be spectator mode. So, exactly when will that come? It's hard to say, but it's something that I could see potentially being in September. It again hard to say, like not certain on that subject, but it is the next major feature after tournament mode that is going to be prioritized. So I would expect people to just sort of hang tight for that. But we're aware that for content creators that's super key, and we want to move that up in the stack of priorities. So we've done that. Oh yeah, this one's for you, Ali. How do I turn on Twitch VODs on my channel? Yeah, I mean, right, like how? And I guess maybe elaborate on that too. Like how do you create content on stream that ends up being viable for video?
yeah, well, I guess it depends on, and just to answer your question, it's been years. It's always been on for me, so I had to Google it. Remember, Google is your friend. You can find out a lot of things on how to do stuff on Twitch. But yeah, you go in the settings and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, it can go one of 2 ways. I think going in with intention to your stream is always a good idea. So like, if you have YouTube on the mind, I often like, okay, I really want to get to these 2 decks, and I'm trying to get games for a particular deck guide. It really just depends on what you want to do and what kind of value you want to provide, and then you can kind of craft your stream around that experience. And there's something kind of fun in the community aspect of people being around for the ride, and people are like, "Hi, YouTube," so people can kind of rally behind it. But yeah, I would say just kind of go in with a plan and think about what you want to do. I know it's kind of vague, but the world's your oyster, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, I would encourage people in the content creators channel as well to like drop links to their channel. Let's all be a community about this and follow each other, follow each other, make sure you're putting noties on for anyone that you see dropping links in there. And let's make sure that we're viewing each other's content. Again, we're very early days here, and I'm expecting everybody who's posted a video already that's high value to be 10x in the matter of a couple weeks, probably on views. Like, we're going to start pushing marketing really heavily relatively soon. And so, that is going to entail a lot more more views on your videos, and want to make sure that everybody, currently in the community for Parallel Consecration is there, following, supporting, and we can put a light on those people who are, putting effort into their content. So
Yeah, Dub said, yeah, go back and redo statements that you think might make a good short. You can do that live, or you can do it, after the stream. I would say, like, my strategy is like recording introductions and things like that after the live stream. But it's really, I think you just find a system that works well for you, and whatever, is boosts your efficiency in creating videos and content, like that's what you should go for, and find out what works for you.
yeah, maybe Ali, if you have some thoughts on like your early Hearthstone content creation career, and like what was it that kind of set you apart, and how did you become, such a major creator? Like, were there one, two, or three things that you kind of experienced and you said these were the things that ended up kind of leading me towards more success? Or was it just consistency? Like, what did that process look like for you?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think one thing that definitely was a huge part of my success was that the community manager of Hearthstone discovered me, I think on Instagram. Like I put up a picture of me playing Hearthstone on mobile or something like that. And so like putting yourself in as many different places for like to be discovered is really important. Like you don't want to just do one platform like Twitch. You want to do them all if you can. And so got the attention of the Blizzard team, and they were like, wow, we really like this girl's content. Let's put her in invitationals and, help promote her. And that's something that Fitch, like the Parallel team wants to do, is if you're making good content, they want to showcase it. So there's that. But then also, I think you just need to find what is unique about you and really lean into it. Like my one thing that people always acknowledged about my stream was that I was really good with chat interaction. So like I was, very communicative with my chat, and I ask people about their days and remember things about them if I can. And that's sort of how I stream, but another streamer might lean super in and just like, I'm a competitive player, I don't interact with the chat much, but my stream is the source for top level decks, And so I think you need to decide what kind of value you provide and lean into that. So, if you really want to be a high competitive player, maybe in the YouTube description of your video, like you put that deck, make sure you have the deck code, because people come after you if you don't have a deck code. Okay, I'm just saying. And if there's not a deck code, then like write the names of the cards or whatever it is. If that's like the type of content that you're trying to make. If you're like really entertaining and crazy, some people just want to be entertained with card games as well, right? So find out what makes you unique, lean into it, and what value you can provide. And, don't be afraid to tell people that, hey, my name's Ali and I make fun and entertaining videos, and deck guides, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry, that was
Yeah,
a
I
bit of
think
a ramble.
that's great insight. Identifying what it is that you do, and leaning into that more. Any additional questions in the chat? Otherwise, I think we'll probably move to wrap it up fairly soon. And thank you, everyone, by the way, for attending. I know that it's a little bit impromptu, a little bit of a inconvenient time for some people, but that's why they're recorded. So we'll ship it out and make sure that people get eyes on this in a lot of different formats. But yeah, any additional questions are welcome before we wrap up.
Attend Milo's sessions. I'm gonna join. They're
Yeah, I mean,
really, really good at this stuff.
he's got a beginner one, and then there's like the advanced stuff. So it's like you can get the beginner level knowledge, and then you can get the more advanced if you want to, and you can actually pay for that course in Prime, which is really cool. So that's a pretty unique deal that was able to be secured. How many how many hours before you can quit the day job? I have no idea. Ali, do you know what the answer to that is?
I don't think it's not probably a number in followers. That's probably going to be a different question or a different answer for everyone. That's tough.
Yeah,
I don't know if I have an exact answer to that.
bit of a mean question, but
Yeah, I know you're probably messing around, but 69 hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if that's all the kind of questions that folks have, I think we'll probably move to wrap it up. Want to say thanks, Milo. I know you had to step away. Thank you, Ali, for being here and always being a supporter of us. We greatly appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot more coming. That's what I want to leave people with the impression of, is that there's like a lot more coming, and working on some things with Ali in terms of getting a lot of other types of content creators engaged in this ecosystem. And yeah, there's a lot more attention that's going to be shined on Parallel. I mean, again, if you're native to sort of the Parallel ecosystem and Web3 ecosystem, you've probably seen that we've dominated the timeline. Like that's the beginning. We're trying to dominate timelines that are not this one. And so I think you can expect to see a lot more of that type of stuff in the relatively near future. Trying to make sure that TCG players broadly in the world are aware that Parallel is a very viable option for them as far as quality of gameplay and content creation as well. So, and obviously, like, opportunities within esports and competitive and earning, by playing type of a scene as well. So, yeah, I think the future is very bright. We're very thankful for everybody who's already made content. We're very thankful for everybody who will make content. And we're very thankful for Milo and for Ali being here to help us, as guides on that journey. So this has been recorded. I want to reiterate that. I also want to reiterate that the content creators channel in Discord is a great source of information, and there's a bunch of pinned links there. And if you want to get early access to the game, following those pinned links and the journey there, and making a little bit of content and submitting it is the way to go. And any friends of yours that may also be content creators, you can point them in that direction as well. So again, thank you, everyone. Seriously, genuinely appreciate everybody who's here at this stage of the journey, because it is so early. And if you're here now, then I think the future is very bright for you individually, separately from the bright future of Parallel. But it's going to be a really interesting few weeks and few months as we ramp this thing up, and very excited to go on this journey with everyone. So, Ali, any closing remarks from you?
Just thank you very much for having me. I've played a lot of card games, guys, and I really, really believe Parallel has a really good shot of being one that changes people's minds about blockchain. And it's got an absolutely incredible lore and universe, and like the game is so good. It's like just in these early stages, and there is a huge opportunity for any of you to grow with the game, right? So just yeah, have fun, and at the end of the day, just have a lot of fun, like make the content, enjoy yourself, and yeah, and just ask me questions in the channel if you need to. So yeah, and that's it.
Perfect. Yeah, well, thank you, Ali. Thank you, Milo, and thank you to the community and all the creators who have showed up today. I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and this recording will be distributed for anyone who's interested who wasn't here. So again, thanks so much, everyone. Greatly appreciate you all, and we'll see you soon.